But what I love about that song is just the consistency of God's promises. And one of the things I want to talk about tonight is the promises of God. We sang a new song on Sunday called A New Thing Comin'. I don't know if you remember it, but if you forgot, fear not. We're singing it tonight. We're that thoughtful here at Vessel Church. We let you get it like 3 times before we take it off the rotation. But what I love about it is it's a song about God's amazing promises. And so how many of you have ever experienced a time where someone has promised something to you? Anybody? Okay. And how stoked are you when the promise happens? Yep. It's so exciting. Okay, how many times have you promised something to someone else? Has anyone promised anything to someone else? Yep. Okay. And how psyched are you when you make it happen? I feel great about it when I come through on a promise. Now, we've all been kids at some point, and this has happened to you, I know it. You told your mom, I'm going to clean my room. You promised her. And how annoying is it when she's like, did you clean your room yet? And you're like, I'm working on it. I'm going to clean it Saturday. And you really mean it. You know, like, I'm dead serious. You know, there are really those times. You put it in your schedule, like, I'm going to do it Saturday, but mom wanted it done Friday. She didn't tell you that. That's a telepathy mom moment where she was like, you should really get it done. And you're like, I'm working on it. Isn't it so annoying when someone comes to you and questions you while you're working on the promise? You're like, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I currently am working on the promise that I was going to go to the gym more this year. I'm working on it. I'm not there yet. Don't ask me on a Friday. It's going to get done Sunday. That's okay. But so, one of the things that's amazing about God is he has never not come through on a promise. But you know what's really annoying? When in the middle of him working on it, we're like, where is it? Where's the promise? It should be here. And God's like, I'm working on it. And as much as you want your mom to trust you, that you're going to come through, we have to trust God that he's going to come through too. And it's going to be on his time and when it works for him. And we all experience that when we move out and get an apartment. And we really do eventually clean our room. We just didn't have anybody giving me a timetable about it. I don't have trauma. I'm fine. My mom and I have a great relationship. We've worked through it. No, I'm just kidding. So for those of you guys who don't know, the Bible is literally just a big fat book of promises. And there are 2 sections of the Bible. There's the Old Testament and the New Testament. If you don't know, the Old Testament is without Jesus. He's not there. But man, there are a lot of people promising he is coming. And in the New Testament, he comes. Very exciting. We love it. So where we're going to look today is in 1 Kings 18. This is in the Old Testament. This story is a story in the Bible where a prophet named Elijah, who lived during a time when the land was experiencing a severe drought. After 3 years of no rain, Elijah prayed to God for relief. At first, nothing happened. God was not cleaning it up. But Elijah kept believing that God was going to come through. Eventually, a small cloud appeared, and the rain came, and it poured, and it ended the drought. And so the story I want to read shows how even when things seem hopeless, having faith and patience is a blessing that can lead to abundance. So let's look in 1 Kings 18.
Come on, Led.
Verse 1.
Come on, Led.
I got the big font because I am blind. Okay. After a long time, in the 3rd year, the word of the Lord came to Elijah. Go and present yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the land. So Elijah went to present himself to Ahab. Now the famine was severe in Samaria, and Ahab had summoned Obadiah, his palace administrator. Obadiah was a devout believer in the Lord. While Jezebel was killing off the Lord's prophets, Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them in 2 caves, 50 each, and had supplied them with food and water. Ahab said to Obadiah, Go through the land to all the springs and valleys. Maybe we can find some grass to keep the horses and mules alive so we will not have to kill any of our animals. Okay, how many times have we felt like we were in a spiritual drought? Where we were in a financial drought? Where we were in a personal drought? We were experiencing drought in our lives. I feel like for myself, one of the times I experienced a feeling of drought was during COVID-19. We speak her name now. We look back on her, not so fondly. She messed us up. It wasn't cute. Ironically, it was a 3-year thing. I'm not saying it's biblical, I'm just saying it's there. You can draw the parallels, right? I felt like that was a time where I personally was in a spiritual drought. Anybody else feel that way? Yeah. I felt like when I read this scripture, one of the things I heard was my man Obadiah was literally scraping at anything to keep his mules and basically his faith alive. And I feel like we've all been there, where we have been like turning over every stone and looking in every dark place to try to just keep the light of our faith burning. And it can be really hard to keep that burning. But what I loved about after 3 years of drought, God was still doing the things he said he would. He was still working on the promise, even though they were working on just trying to get by. So then what happens? We're going to jump to verse 41. I don't think I ever said the verse the last time. Apologies. 1 Kings 18, verse 41. It's up on the screen. Elijah said to Ahab, "Go, eat and drink, for there is a sound of heavy rain." The 7th time the servant reported, "A cloud small as a man's hand is rising from the sea." So Elijah said, "Go and tell Ahab, hitch up your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." Meanwhile, the sky grew black with clouds, the wind rose, and a heavy rain started to fall. And so what was wild is in between there's a really big story. I feel like we don't normally do the first parts of the story for anyone who's familiar with 1 Kings 18. Normally this passage is shared about Elijah's awesomeness, where he's like a standalone prophet, calling down fire from heaven, telling all the Baal prophets, "I'm amazing and God's awesome and God is real and it's great." And he like does this big display of promises. But here at the end, Elijah's standing up on a mountain and there's still no rain. Lots of fire. We got lots of that. Lots of drought, lots of famine. Have it in abundance. And he's standing up there and he's like, "God, during this time of famine, I told you, I know you can do it." And he is sending his servant up. He's like, "Go look for rain." How many times in your life has God told you to go look for rain? And man, it's not there. You're still waiting on the rain. You're still waiting on the blessing. It is not there yet. Elijah told his servant, "Go look again." He's working on it. God is working on it. Can you guys say that with me?
God is working on it.
I'm working on it. He sent that man up 7 times. And the last time he went up, he saw a cloud as small as his hand, heavy with rain. And so the song we're going to sing, there is a section where they say, "I can see a cloud heavy with rain." And it sounds like revival is heading our way. It sounds like freedom is heading our way. It sounds like salvation is heading our way. And I think for all of us, if you've been in a time where you've been experiencing a drought, you need to know that God has a new thing coming for you.
Come on.
God has salvation coming for you, joy coming for you, abundance coming for you. Because even when things seem hopeless, there will be a small cloud heavy with rain coming for you. We don't have to be hopeless because God is always working on it. So as we come together to sing this song, just remind yourself and pray this into your life. Sing this song like a prophecy for you, that even if right now you're in a time of severe drought, as long as you keep the faith, as long as you stay spiritual and you stay focused, you will see a time of abundance and rain. So let's go to God in prayer, and then I think we should sing.